This week's In Your Interest documents the towering finale, the replacing of the towers on top of the West Baden Springs National Landmark. It's the culmination of a 2.5-year-long partial restoration of this architectural wonder undertaken by Historic Landmarks Foundation of Indiana and its financial benefactor Cook Group Incorporated. Approximately $30 million has been invested in the restoration so far. For the people from this area of southern Indiana, the saving of this grand building is a dream come true.
This thing has been real exciting, and it's really something. It's almost like a dream. We attended the gala that was here, and it was just fantastic. And it's been a great experience. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of work, but it's really something to see this thing return to the glory that it was at one time.
And just to see the rebirth of this complex, this hotel, and there's so much history there, and to see the towers go back on, it really is putting a finishing touch on it.
I think probably you could sum up the whole feeling of today and those towers going on. It's like being a 6-year-old at Christmas. There absolutely could not be a more exciting day than seeing those towers replaced. It's something that many of us thought just never ever would happen. So it's tremendous, and we certainly owe the Cooks a debt of gratitude for making that dream become a reality.
The story of the domed hotel in West Baden, Indiana begins in June of 1901. That's when a fire destroyed the West Baden Springs Hotel. The hotel's owner, Colonel Lee Sinclair, set out to build a grand hotel, a structure so great it was beyond most people's imagination. Colonel Sinclair envisioned a circular structure supporting the world's largest dome, and he insisted that it be built within a year. It would be fireproof, too. A confident young architect from West Virginia, Harrison Albright, was able to conceptualize Colonel Sinclair's vision. And on October 1st, 1901, Caldwell and Drake, contractors from Columbus, Indiana, signed a contract to build the new hotel for $414,000. The hotel was completed and opened for business 11 months later, on September 1st, 1902. Colonel Sinclair's dream had become a reality. Journalists called his new hotel the 8th wonder of the world. The West Baden Springs Hotel, a vacation destination for the well-to-do and famous. It flourished during the first 3 decades of the 20th century. Its elegant 6-story domed atrium was 200 feet in diameter and 100 feet high. In the atrium there was a fireplace that burned 14-foot logs, and birds flew between the palm trees.
One thing that's always been outstanding in my mind, this is where I saw my first palm tree, was in the atrium area.
I've been interested in this landmark for years and years and years, and my husband's mother and father spent their wedding here, and it's just a wonderful experience.
My grandfather was from here, and my grandparents spent their honeymoon here back in 1922.
Historically, the great thing about the building and about this whole adventure of the restoration has been the fact that people are bringing things to us constantly. And I've, of course, amassed a pretty good collection of historical artifacts from various people, but every single week it seems like somebody comes with a picture that all of us thought, well, that couldn't be, you know, and we look at it and it just makes it that much more exciting. So there's a lot of stuff out there. People are volunteering it, letting us use their drawings, their pictures and various items. So it's really great.
The stock market crash in 1929 was the beginning of the end of the West Baden Dome's life as a hotel. The new owner, Ed Ballard, kept the West Baden Springs Hotel open for 3 more years, but the guests never came back. In 1934, after failing to get a tax break from the county, Ballard sold the hotel to the Society of Jesuits for $1. The county never again collected taxes on the building. The Jesuits operated a seminary at the West Baden Hotel for 30 years.
My recollection of the hotel itself, of course, was the Jesuits. The hotel was way before my time, really. But the Jesuits, I remember the Jesuits. We could see the Jesuits playing golf on the lower golf course while they were in the high school. You go over to see that. The Jesuits did maintain the golf course and the buildings all.
The Jesuits sold the building in 1966, and it was donated to Northwood Institute. Northwood was a private college with well-known programs in automotive marketing and hotel and restaurant management.
Really, my real interest started back when I was a student here and actually lived here in the building, and that's where my interest really peaked. And it never has weakened since that point. If anything, it simply gets stronger and stronger.
After Northwood closed the campus in 1983, the building remained vacant and unmaintained. The severe dilapidation that occurred made the area residents' hearts ache each time they passed the dome. In 1992, after part of an exterior wall collapsed, Historic Landmarks Foundation of Indiana did an unprecedented thing. They used an emergency appropriation of nearly $140,000 to repair the wall of a building they didn't own.
Historic Landmarks Foundation of Indiana is a statewide nonprofit group, and what we do is save buildings. And of course, this is one of the most important historic buildings in the state, and it was one of the most endangered. And after we spent a couple of $100,000 on a building we didn't own in 1991, we realized that it was coming to the end of its life, and we had to do something. That it was, if not us, who, if not now, when. And we started looking around for help to rescue this place, and we called on the Cooks. And that was a real smart move on our part, because what a wonderful job they have done here.
The Cook Group is headed by Bill and Gail Cook, well-known preservationists. The Cooks have been involved in over 40 renovations, including the Graham Hotel and the south side of the square in Bloomington. Calling the West Baden Dome one of the most fabulous buildings anywhere, Bill and Gail Cook made a decision of the heart and decided it had to be stabilized. Their initial budget for the partial restoration has doubled to nearly $30 million. Bill Cook said, "In historic preservation, you just go and do what you've got to do."
And I think anyone that has the resources to do this, it's a wonderful thing to do.
Oh, I would personally like to thank him. I think it's great that he would want to do this with his own money. I think that's very special.
I grew up in this area, and well, both of us did, and we've seen it in its deteriorated state, and I work for the Cook companies, and it's a real pride and joy to see it come back to life.
As part of the restoration, it was decided the building was not complete without its towers. The towers had been removed in the late 1940s by the Jesuits.
The towers, now why they were actually removed, still kind of a question. We don't know exactly. We do know they were removed while the Jesuits were here. We've been told by some of the Jesuits that they were possibly in a bad state of repair, and rather than to try and repair them, they did remove them at that time during the 40s. And we, of course, the Valley's missed those towers. So today's a tremendously exciting day getting to see the towers go back on.
George Ridgway, an architect from Vincennes, Indiana, was selected to design the towers to match the former hotel's original wooden towers. He had to replicate the towers using old grainy photographs because no original measure drawings existed.
No, the towers, when they were taken off, were simply dismantled. And the 4 points you'll see, there were 16 finials. And those were kind of spread around the valley, and there are a few of the original finials off the towers, but the actual towers themselves were completely dismantled and simply destroyed.
The fabricator selected to make the towers was Campbellsville Industries of Campbellsville, Kentucky.
George contacted us knowing that this is one of our specialty type items, and asked if we would take a look at the design, see if it was within our capabilities. Of course, come up with a price, and then they were going to compare that to actually just building them on the site. We built them complete in Campbellsville, and then we took them apart and brought them up here by truck, and now we've put them back together, and now we're ready to actually do the installation.
Operating the Sky Crane helicopter are 2 pilots from Erickson Air Crane Company of Central Point, Oregon.
I'm the aft seat pilot, and I'll be doing the actual setting of the towers today.
And explain what's involved in that.
Well, the two-man crew on the aircraft, the pilot in front is really the aircraft commander and takes care of the engines and flying the aircraft from this site to the top of the tower. I do from the back seat actually pick up the tower, get it hooked up on the ground here with our crew, and then up on top I'm actually flying the aircraft from the back seat to actually set it so I can see where it's going. I can take two up there, and one of you stay down on the bottom and start getting loose there. Yeah. On the tops here, in the domes, do we need? You're going to unhook it or take it off the anchors or pull the anchors out before I come in and hook up, right?
Engineers will attach cables to the tower base and lift it via the Sky Crane helicopter to the site. The towers are constructed of steel and aluminum. The exact weight of each replicated tower is 18,925 pounds. The tower base is 27 feet square, and the tower height is 47 feet. After the tower base section is set in place on the building, it must be secured using tapered centering pins, pre-drilled holes, and cables. Because the helicopter generates 70-mile-per-hour winds from its rotors, engineers had to make certain that immediately upon placement, each tower could withstand the 70-mile-per-hour winds created during subsequent lifts.
Some wind, and actually the downwash from the rotor itself is has the biggest effect on these pieces here. There's a lot of surface area on these.
a Sprudel.
I'm a Sprudel. I graduated from West Baden High School in 1945.
So what are you doing here today?
I'm a volunteer for historic landmarks. That's what we're doing. We're just celebrating today. We're having a great time.
The thing that's really great about the tours here at West Baden Springs is the fact that we have a volunteer tour force that is just tremendous. We have people all the way from high school age kids all the way through people in their 80s who really have a love for this building and love to show people around. Altogether, so far, I think we've taken about 60,000 people through the building, and we love taking them through, so we really hope that it continues.
Shortly after the start of this restoration, of course, I've always had ties to this area. I spent younger years of my life in this area and watched it fall into ruin, and then when they started the restoration, I became a volunteer and been very active as a volunteer conducting tours here. Well, I think it's a great turnout, really. I just walked across over on the southeast side to see what was over there, and there's quite a number of people over in that area also.
quite a historic event, at least locally here, and we've been taking part in this about a year now. We've been working on this, and we've done the U.S. Capitol and others, so this is kind of interesting too.
Because the tower weight is more than the maximum weight a helicopter can lift, each tower will be lifted in 2 sections. The roof section includes 4 finials that were recreated from an original that was loaned to the project.
The top was a little lighter, and so we winched out on that, and there isn't quite as much control when we winch out, and so they had to work that around quite a bit, but it went on well.
Anytime you can be below the prop wash of a sky crane in an architectural wonder, it's just, I'm speechless. I was almost in tears yesterday. I'm doing an assignment today for Life magazine, and we had a barrel of fun here. This was an extraordinary experience. It's such a great structure. It's part of the local history. There's so much history here in the West Baden French Lick area, and this is an extraordinary opportunity to help save this thing and make it useful for the community, make it work.
We are looking for a buyer. We want someone to finish what we've started here. It's ready for someone to take over. It could be a hotel, it could be a school again. It was a school for longer than it was a hotel. It could be a hospital, it could be a corporate headquarters or a residential facility or a mixed-use arena of some sort. So we're open to any and all suggestions, and prospective buyers should call Historic Landmarks. Through the end of October, we have tours 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday from 10 to 3 on the hour, and Sunday from noon to 4. And from November through March, we'll be doing 1 tour a day, Wednesday through Sunday at 1 p.m. Then in April, we'll start up again 7 days a week. We want lots of people to see this place. It's back the way it used to be. It's back the way it should look. And it's great to see it in fog. It's great to see it at night. It's great to see it at sunrise. It's just a really wonderful silhouette. It had kind of a clumsy outline before, and now those towers are back and it just looks wonderful. It just was a perfect day to see that silhouette completed.
On a crisp Indian summer Saturday in 1998, the old West Baden Springs Hotel was wearing her crown once more. She is truly the Queen of the Valley of Springs, a sight to behold both inside and out.